people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, they say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall, promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say our day. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed huge spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they shout out today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards, loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now, live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue of Liberty, the writing you can't see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish face laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan. Yeah, one of you.
Self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk comes to left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming to you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We may open up the phone lines a little bit. We will see. It's just a matter of, again, how exhausted I am. It's been an off day for me today. I didn't get to sleep till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and not because I was choosing to, but because I just couldn't fall asleep. So we will see how long we last whenever I have to tap out. So we will judge things accordingly. Of course, wearing a silly little T-shirt today from Captain Underpants, a Captain Underpants themed shirt, because this is a shirt that we made back right before the pandemic started. My youngest son wanted a Captain Underpants themed party, and so we went ahead and I think my wife had just gotten her cricket or whatever, and she went ahead and made these "Don't Ban the Waistband" shirts or whatever. Kind of cute, whatever. I got one or two strange looks when I was in physical therapy this morning, but you know, as old Donnie Boy says,
it is what it is.
Anyway, you know, just needed a good, comfortable, not overly, short, whatever shirt that, would allow me to do all the stretching I needed to do. So shouts out to everybody watching or really over in Twitch right now. We've got some over here. I got Aaron and Jolie, the best mod squad on the planet, over on YouTube. We got Jeff from just north of Uranus. Teresa is here. Jackie. Who else? Suzanne. Jan. A lot of the J squad here already. Who else am I? Ms. Nefarious Enough. Good to see you too. I'll just kind of scroll down real quick because Hal is still live on the air, so it's to be expected. So we'll try and kill a little bit of time. The Goddess Kimchi is in the chat. Good to see you, Goddess. Nice to see you again, Molly. Joy to see you as well. I'll say hello to everybody else as they come trickling in. But yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about today. Little reaction video that we're going to do to old dog killer Kristi Noem and, her inability to, have anything resembling the truth. We might do one or two reaction videos for unraveling toxic masculinity. As well, we've got the Louisiana Lieutenant Governor shocking a bunch of people with him actually taking the right side of an issue for a change. Student loan news, which is going to potentially screw me greatly coming into this new year. So we'll see what happens with that. House making a shocking vote today in a rebuke to Trump. Trump's getting rebuked a lot today. So we will see how that happens as well. Let's try and give some other... We don't want to get necessarily too much into the meat of the issue before, some more people come on in. But, as Trump says...
It is what it is.
And people can always watch on the rebroadcast, watch it, play back the live stream. That's why we have the ability to record, right? So, but just to go over, one of the things that I was a little disappointed over the fact that the tools that I'm using to get this, to get some of the shorter clips done, completely failed when it came to the interview that I had with John the other day. I wanted to have some good, back and forth on that, and it really didn't do a good job of it at all. So hopefully it'll pick up this as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and review the changes in Louisiana law that has caused me to take certain actions and potentially try and get on the ballot in 2026 for Congress, for Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. And one of the things that I've noticed, I was registered a Democrat or whatever, but for the purposes of this experiment, I went ahead and switched my party back to no party. If I do win, I'm not going to win, but if I do win, I will definitely caucus with the Democratic Party. But again, the odds of a third-party candidate in this highly gerrymandered state being able to pull off a victory is slim to none. But the reason we had the show the other day, and the reason we're kind of going through this experiment, is to basically just show how the legislature in Louisiana, which is completely controlled by the Republican Party, screwed over every single voter in Louisiana. If you're a Democrat or a Republican and you see somebody who's a third-party candidate or no party candidate or whatever, and you want to support their candidacy by signing a petition, you can't do it unless you unregister as a Democrat or Republican and then go no party or whatever other party you might want to register as. So basically, they're taking the choice away from all voters in the state, depending on who their preferred candidate might be, they have to take additional actions to back a candidate. And again, you also have the situation where only Democrats and Republicans can spend money to put themselves on the ballot. That they can gain ballot access simply by paying money to the state. Whereas if you're a third-party candidate, no party candidate, you want to get on the ballot, you don't have that option. You could be a billionaire and you can't get on the ballot. You need to get the signatures done, which the Constitution requires that everybody be treated equally, and Louisiana is absolutely not treating people equally. And I might not agree with anybody individually for what they believe in. That being said, I don't believe that they should be left off of the ballot. They should have the same opportunities as everybody else to be able to get on the ballot and have their voice heard and have the people cast a ballot for them. And because they're not doing that, the Louisiana Republican Party has proven themselves to be just a bunch of chicken shits, basically, because they know they don't have the popularity, I guess, to maintain their stranglehold on the state without these actions. And then, of course, you know, if they do manage to redraw the maps, so we're going to see 5-1 or potentially 6-0 when it comes to Republican versus Democrat seats as well. So that's the only way that the Republicans keep control, is by manipulating the system to keep people off the ballot, by manipulating the system to make it harder for people to compete, etc. So we are taking a principled stand here on this issue, and we'll see how it goes. If we spread awareness about this issue, that in and of itself is a victory, or at least a minor victory, because more people need to know what is going on here and why they're doing what they're doing, and that people are not being treated equally under the law as required by our Constitution. Anyway, so, hey, Tim, good to see you. Everybody else pop in whilst. John Glad, good to see you too. Glad to see you, I should say, right? Anyway, let's see. Who else we got? No one else new, I don't think. There was I guess a rebuke by the GOP-led House. According to Axios, House 2 hours ago, House overturns Trump executive order in historic vote. House of Representatives voted Wednesday to overturn, I guess this is yesterday, President Trump's executive order ending collective bargaining rights for 2/3 of the federal workforce. It's the first time during Trump's second term that the House has secured enough votes to repeal one of his executive orders. Of course, it would still have to, deal with the Senate. Federal employee unions have been at the forefront of the administration's effort to shrink the federal workforce. Moves that laid off more than 200,000 federal employees earlier this year and approximate 4,000 during the longest ever government shutdown. The administration argued that restricting union rights is necessary. Restricting rights is necessary, according to this administration, to protect national security. So federal union members are a threat to national security. Remember that, people. If you're a federal union worker, you are a threat to national security. Driving the news, House voted 231 to 195 against Trump's March order, which sought to strip the employees' protections to negotiate for better pay, benefits, and fair treatment. Jared Golden of Maine and Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican of Pennsylvania, introduced the Protect America's Workforce Act, PAWA, I guess, which they say would restore union rights for nearly 1 million federal workers. Corresponding Senate bill had 48 original co-sponsors. If all Senate Democrats and independents backed the measure, it would still need the help of 13 Republicans to overturn the order. American Federation of Government Employees National President Everett Kelly applauded lawmakers for standing up for the rights of federal workers to protect our nation, to keep our government running. Heather Conroy, Executive Vice President of the Service Employees International Union, said in a statement, federal workers from every corner of the country keep our government running. The Senate must now follow suit to restore federal workers' rights and vital services for all Americans. The White House did not immediately respond to Axios for comment. Just remember that. I think that's the most damning thing about this administration in this particular, at least, article, is that they are saying that they need to deunionize and take away the rights to unionize for federal employees because it's a threat to national security. That should show you exactly how this administration feels about Americans. These aren't people who are, coming here and working in violation of or crossing the border in violation of our border policies. They're not people who are, harming anybody. They're doing a job, and Trump is like, I don't want to deal with the rules, so we're just going to change the rules as we go. Simple as that. We also have news on the SAVE plan. According to CNBC, student loan borrowers have a limited time to leave payment pause. Here are their options. According to the key points, under the terms of a proposed Education Department settlement announced this week, millions of student loan borrowers will soon have to make payments on their debt again. The agreement centers on borrowers who signed up for the Biden administration SAVE plan. Here are the options for borrowers who remain in a SAVE forbearance. Millions of student loan borrowers whose payments are paused may soon have to start paying under a Trump administration proposed settlement announced this week. Experts say the timeline could be short and borrowers need to start planning. The agreement centers on borrowers who sign up for SAVE, which includes 7.6 million borrowers. Trump officials have not yet specified when SAVE borrowers will be forced to leave the payment pause, and Education Department did not respond to requests for comment. Of course they're not. Because they don't believe in transparency at all whatsoever. The Tuesday press release notes that SAVE enrollees would have a limited time to select a new legal repayment plan. Of course, the repayment plan was only made illegal because for some stupid reason, the Supreme Court gave the ability of states to have standing on this issue because, for example, Missouri created the non-government organization MOHELA, and they used that connection to MOHELA to be able to claim that they would lose money based off of these plans that were implemented during the Biden administration, because they feel that they are entitled to your money, and as such, they don't want to they want to be able to continue to eat from the government trough, so to speak. So much for, conservatism, right? I thought conservatism didn't like when people ate at the government trough. Oh, wait, it's just only people who eat at the government trough who are a problem. But when it comes to states, they want to take all the government money as possible. So they go, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but borrowers should understand that they will likely have to make the transition from SAVE to a different repayment plan within months. The Education Department said in the release that it would begin to outreach to borrowers in the coming weeks. In the meantime, here's what experts say borrowers need to know about the end of SAVE forbearance. People who remain in SAVE forbearance are those who signed up for the Biden administration new repayment plan but got caught in limbo after it became mired in legal challenges. Mired in legal challenges mean challenged by Republican states that don't want to give up their, cash cow of these organizations like MOHELA that, rake in the money. SAVE plan is now defunct. In February, the 8th Circuit blocked SAVE and sided with Republican-led states that argued that former President Biden lacked the authority to establish the student loan repayment plan, which had been the most generous terms to date. Amid the lawsuits, Biden administration moved enrollees into forbearance in the summer of 2024. Hundreds of thousands of borrowers have found themselves stuck in SAVE amid a backlog of requests for new repayment plans. Many clients have taken steps to move out of the SAVE forbearance but are waiting months for their income-driven repayment plan applications to be processed. In August, Trump officials resumed charging interest because you weren't supposed to be charged interest above and beyond whatever it was paid because they didn't want this cycle of debt to keep completing. SAVE forbearance should start, people in SAVE forbearance should start looking for ways to restart their payments. You can submit a request for another income-driven repayment plan at studentaid.gov. IDR plans cap your monthly payments at a share of your discretionary income and lead to debt forgiveness for a certain period, typically 20 to 25 years. Most borrowers would be best in enrolling in the income-based repayment plan, or IBR. And the Trump tax and spending package phases out income contingent repayment plans, or ICR, and pay-as-you-earn plan payee. Here's my question. If the federal government couldn't implement SAVE, how can they now get rid of ICR and pay-as-you-earn? Do as I say, not as I do, right? Starting July 1st, 2026, student loan borrowers will have to access another IDR option, the Repayment Assistance Plan, or RAP. The plan leads to debt forgiveness after 30 years compared with typical timeline under the plans, but will offer the lowest monthly bill for some borrowers due to its longer term. There are several tools available, blah, blah, blah. If you're pursuing a popular public service loan forgiveness, you can use a public service loan forgiveness buyback option to make payments and get credit. For SAVE enrollees you can't pay, you can have unemployment deferment, economic hardship deferment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's absurd. And here's one question that I have that remains unanswered, according to this article at least, is if you have earned up a certain amount of payments over the course of the history of your payments and student loan repayment, and then you switch to a new one, are your payments now going to reset? Am I going to have years and years and years of payments reset if I'm now forced to go into a different plan? Are they not going to count the credits that I got under the Biden administration for, the time spent in deferment under COVID? Is that not going to happen as well? Lots of questions remained unanswered. And here's from the U.S. Department of Education specifically, basically talking about that. I'm not seeing anything in particular off the top of my head that says anything about what would happen to the already made payments that you made and if you will get credit for those payments made. And if you don't, I can imagine that there are going to be more lawsuits. Of course, imagine that somebody loses credits, loses the credit that they got for making those payments in the past, and then they have to sign up for a new one, and then you sue because, hey, I lost my credits because of no fault of my own, and then they're going to say, oh, I'm sorry, you don't lack standing. Well, if Missouri had standing, then I should have standing too to challenge changes that are specifically happening to my repayment plans. So it's all a bunch of BS by this administration, just trying to harm people who are mired in debt, have a whole crap ton of debt. And that debt, remember, can't be written off under bankruptcy. You declare bankruptcy, you're still stuck with this. And that was a bait and switch that was done. One of it was back in 2003, 2005, maybe it was, when Congress basically said, nope, sorry, you can't write off any student loan debt on your bankruptcies. Why? You can bail out huge corporations when their debt gets too unmanageable, but you can't get out of your student loan debt if your student loan situation has become unmanageable. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Bald Thanos, I only have $9,500 of student loan debt. Lucky you, man. Lucky you. Hey, Big Hook, good to see you as well. Hey, who's your Scott? What else? Anybody else that I missed who wandered into the chat? See, I have been on regular IBR, 0 per month before Joe was president. Nice. But who knows what's going to happen with this administration. This is why you need people in Congress who are going to stand up to this administration. This is not to plug me or whatever. This is to say we need to retake Congress. Me being successful in whatever it is that this is going to end up being is not anything, will not change the scope of Congress because it won't move a seat. However, there are plenty of other seats that are up for grabs, and we need all of them to be flipped to try and fight this BS that's coming from this administration, because there's no reason that you should be going after people who are mired in student loan debt. Like, it's bizarre. They're just trying to hurt people at this point. And, I don't know what my new payment will be, but if it screws me over, I'm gonna be very mad. Let's just put it that way. So again, shouts out to everybody who has strolled into the chat. Oh Lord, what's going on now? Oh, no, chat was disconnected, but now it's reconnected. Okay, for a second I thought I had a internet glitch, but it only glitched for a second. So that's why you vote Democrat. I mean, vote Democrat, vote for anybody who's left. Just don't vote Republican. That's all I say. Because there's some states, Bernie Sanders is not officially not a Democrat. He's a Democratic Socialist. It's a different party altogether. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about on the show today, or to cover on the show today, was this video. Hold on, before we get to that, Jeff goes, I paid off student debt probably 15 years ago. When it got down to about $4,000, they forgave it because never a late payment. Well, nice. Good for you. Suzanne, I heard we had solar flares today. I didn't really notice anything about solar flares, but, I wouldn't be surprised. Jan, centrism is dead. And one of the reasons centrism is dead is partially because of gerrymandering. Because we have redrawn districts in such a way to make it so that the extremist of the extreme get elected out of the primaries, that once you get to the general election, you're stuck with people on the Whereas if we would have had more elections, more races that have, open primaries, which Louisiana has moved away from the federal elections and some other elections as well. Open primaries make it more conducive, make it more possible that you will have a more centrist type candidate, or at least not have an extremist type candidate. So, but yeah, maybe the solar flares temporarily disconnected my chat there and caused me to have a little bit of a panic, right? Anyway, so let's go ahead and we can. Kristi Noem was being questioned by Congressman Magaziner. I don't know if that's the proper way to pronounce it, but he's the Magaziner, I guess. And he was basically showing how Kristi Noem is unfit for the position that she's currently sitting in as head of DHS. She has no integrity, and she's cruel-hearted and just dishonest, and does the typical thing when they're caught in a lie, they pivot to try and distract you from the fact that they're caught in a lie. But we don't let people pivot here on Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right. We will deal with them and make sure to catch the pivots. But here we go. Here is some of the questions of Ms. Noem by Mr. Magaziner.
How many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I notice that we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans, and that's incorrect in both cases. Absolutely, they have deported U.S. citizens, and they absolutely have deported veterans. And there are veterans who are not citizens, yet they're still veterans and should be respected for the sacrifices that they made. And he was prepared. And I applaud Mr. Magaziner for being prepared for this, because this is great.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary.
That was, I'm dodging the question where he wasn't talking about people who are citizens. He was talking about people. People who served in the military, regardless of their citizenship status.
We are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Se-Jun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country.
Notice she's not going to thank him specifically, but she's thankful for every person who served this country.
And follows our laws.
Can you please...
And follows our laws. But following the law, just because you have a little bit of a drug charge, it doesn't mean that you get kicked out of the country. Like, he took 2 bullets for this country. He got a Purple Heart for this country. And you're gonna be like, oh, you need to follow the law. Oh, you got a traffic ticket. Deport him. Like, this is the cruel mindset of this administration. And of course, she didn't admit, maybe I was wrong. Maybe we have deported people who are military veterans. She's going to try and but he broke the law. Fuck off.
Tell Mr. Park why you deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as Secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you to remember that
Madam Secretary, the man...
I will absolutely look into his case. Will she do anything about it? No, I don't even believe she'll look into the case. She'll walk out of the meeting forgetting that Mr. Park ever existed in the first place.
Behind you, please stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally. And she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80.
And let me just make this clear, because I went to look this up. You know, when you write bad checks, in order for it to be check fraud, they have to prove that you had the intent to write bad checks. And I have a hard time believing that somebody had the intent to commit check fraud by writing 2 bad checks totaling $80. And even if you did, for such a small amount of checks, it's like a misdemeanor. There's no reason to take action against somebody and deport them or detain them for months on end because years ago you wrote 2 bad checks.
10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible explanation
She's like, I will cut you. She looks like, yeah, I don't need your thanks. I need my wife back home.
Can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have broad
She doesn't have to pick and choose which laws are followed. The law was followed. They followed the law and they dealt with every problem that was dealt with the $80 in bad checks that she wrote. $80 fucking dollars. Imagining upending somebody's life for $80. This is why this administration is cruel. This is why this administration is heartless. This is why this administration is just full of literal shit. Like, just, I mean, why anybody could sit here and applaud this is beyond me. But, I mean, this is why this administration is just covered in bigotry, racism, xenophobia, etc. And they will use any means possible to cause as much harm to people as possible. Meanwhile, of course, Caroline Leavitt's nephew's mom, they got her out. So tell me again, Ms. Noem, how do you say that you can't pick and choose, yet you picked and choose for Caroline Leavitt's family member? Left that one out there, Ayo.
Discretion as the secretary, you can issue
the law
parole, you can
and
do all
enforce
kinds
the
of things,
laws.
but
Yeah, she can follow the law, which includes, again, as he said, you can do humanitarian parole. You can do other options. You don't have to deport every single person who did something that might have been, somewhat bad. And in the grand scheme of things, $80 of bad check writing is not going after the so-called worst of the worst, as they said they would go after. It's not going after the bad hombres, the murderers, the pedophiles, the sex traffickers, the rapists, the people who are doing the actual real harm. Look, if this administration was actually only going after the people who are murderers and rapists and sex traffickers and, bringing in fentanyl and catching them and whatever, fine. I'm not going to argue about that. I'm not going to fight them about that. But they're using those bad people as an excuse to go after everybody. It's like dropping a nuke on a city simply because it has one bad person in it. I mean, I guess, it's the reverse of what Sodom and Gomorrah with the story of Lot from the Bible. In that story, you had a situation where, Lot wanted to save the people and God would save the city if they could find one good person. All he had to do was find one good person. And they couldn't do that, so the city was gone. In this case, you have to find one. If they find one bad person, they're just going to nuke everybody else. They're going to destroy the entire city just for one bad person. It's morally reprehensible.
choosing not to. Will you commit, again, to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife, who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
Now, Madam
I don't believe you.
Secretary, you've already heard the story of Lance Corporal Alejandro Barranco, the United States Marine veteran who is behind you, who also has two brothers who are United States Marines. Will you thank Lance Corporal Barranco for his service?
Thank you for your service.
His father, Narcisco Barranco, is a landscaper in California who has lived peacefully in our country for 30 years and has no criminal record. Last spring...
Of course, here's where the conservatives were like, well, of course he has a record because he's here illegally, blah, 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 blah. But again, he's not the worst of the worst. He's not one of those bad hombres. He's not a rapist, a murderer. He's not a child molester. He's not a pedophile. He's not any... He's a peaceful citizen who helped to create 3 men who served in the military. I'm assuming it's all men. I don't know. Maybe I think he said brothers, so I think it's all 3 men. But anyway, yeah, not the worst of the worst. But
while he was mowing the lawn at an IHOP, ICE agents tackled him in the street and imprisoned him for weeks. A peaceful, hard-working man who raised 3 sons to be United States Marines. We need men of that character in this country. Again, as secretary, you have broad discretion. Will you consider Lance Corporal Barranco's father for parole in place to stay in our country, owing to the fact that he has contributed to our country by raising 3 United States Marines?
This is an opportunity to remind everybody that every person that's in this country illegally has an opportunity to voluntarily go home and come back.
And then why would you believe that they would let you come back? They can say all they want till they're blue in the face that you have the ability to self-deport and then come back. You have that opportunity to do so. I don't believe that that will happen. Anybody who believes that this administration will follow through on that is a fucking idiot. Period.
Back the right way.
He raised 3 United States Marines.
We will facilitate that.
He has been living here peacefully, doing his job for 30 years.
And why should you have to go through all those steps? He's not a bad person. He's been here for forever. Oh, long enough to have 3 sons who are now, combat veterans who are now served in the military. I don't know if they'll serve sea combat, but whatever. And they're just so heartless. They're just so heartless, thoughtless. To continue to support these people just shows that you're a deplorable person. Hillary Clinton was wrong. It's not, it's at least she's wrong now. It's not half anymore. It's more than half of the people who support this president who are in that basket of deplorables. If you stop supporting them because of these terrible actions, then by all means, you're not in that group. If you actively stand up and say, look, I do not support these actions of this president, and I'm going to actively work to try and, protest and let them know that even though I might have voted for him in the past, that they do not have my support on this, fine, do that. But as I've said before, and I'll continue to say over and over and over again, I don't want to hear jack squat about anybody who is here in violation of our border policy, as this administration ignores the requirement by the Supreme Court to give everybody who's held in detainment and to be potentially deported the ability to file a writ of habeas corpus. They're not following that law. They stripped away 500,000 people here under humanitarian parole. They stripped that right away to stay here in this country, not because they did anything wrong, but because they didn't like that Biden is the one that gave the humanitarian parole. They took that away. So they say, come here legally. Those people came here legally because they were legally invited by this president to do so. And guess what? Now they're screwed. 100 plus Filipino workers, cruise ship workers, here legally, working with legal documentation, deported for no good reason. It's shameful what this country has become. Absolutely shameful.
Years, you have discretion. You are choosing not to use it. Madam Secretary, you promised America that you would go after the worst of the worst. But these people are not the worst of the worst. A Purple Heart recipient, a military spouse, the father of 3 Marines. And it's not just veterans and military families. You are locking up and deporting children with cancer, mothers with babies in the NICU, United States citizens. There are many problems.
Maybe the hate is what keeps the plastic surgery in place. Like, I don't know, maybe it's, have you ever watched some of the new Star Wars shows and some of the people survived injury or whatever because the hate fueled them, and they use the dark side to keep themselves intact and whole. Maybe it's her hate and her anger and her just shittiness of a human being that is having her channel her inner Sith powers to be able to maintain that face from not falling off of her head.
With your leadership, but the biggest problem is this: you don't seem to know how to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. Go after the bad guys. Go after the terrorists. Do not go after veterans, Marines, children,
Gentlemen's
United
time's
States
expired.
citizens.
And basically, she's made these statements or whatever. She's made these arguments in defense of her actions or whatever. But as they say, that dog won't hunt. Too soon? Anyway. Give me a 1 minute alone with a Sharpie before the hearing. I could do lots with the name on before her name. Yeah. Basket full of rotten eggs. Exactly. It is a Hal Sparks raid coming in. Shout out to all of the sparklers who have come in. 107. Thank y'all for joining. Appreciate you. DB Golding, Jenny Penny, Blues Lovin', thank y'all from coming in and joining us. Love the fact that you joined the show. If you haven't followed here already on Twitch, or if you are on YouTube as well, Liberal Dan Radio on YouTube, Liberal Dan Radio on Twitch as well. So thank you for that. H2O Gods, thank you. Spherical Man, hey Aaron, good to see you too. Let's see, Jeff Curry, Mrs. Noem, do you have the stats on the people deported? Well, how many were white? There was a couple. There was a handful. There was a woman who was held, I guess a mother of kids who was held for deportation. I think she's Irish. I guess that, I don't know what Donald Trump feels about the Irish or whatever, but hey, thank you H2O Gods for subscribing. 14 months and a 9-month streak. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Richard, as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, we were just going over. We just finished watching the Kristi Noem testimony in front of Congress with Mr. Magaziner or whatever it is. And we got a sparkler raid coming in over on YouTube as well. Good to see you, Jonathan Black. Thank you for coming on. All of the sparklers who are coming in, please make sure to hit that like button, share it, and subscribe as well. We need to help the algorithm because Al Gore needs more rhythm. So, Blues Lovin', that's kind of hard to believe that an Irish person was held because he likes those white people. I don't know. Maybe they have to cherry pick a few of them to basically, because there was the other one, the one we were just talking about in the Noem interview, the military veteran, his spouse has been detained now for 4 months in a prison, and they're seeking to deport her, all because she wrote $80 in bad checks. $80 in bad checks is enough to get you deported under this administration because they're going to make any excuse. And maybe they looked into more of the details of any of these white people who have been taken up and are held for deportation. Maybe they have made statements against this president, and despite the fact that we have First Amendment rights in this country and First Amendment rights apply to everybody and not just citizens. We have these First Amendment rights, but they're going to be like, okay, well, if you speak badly about our president, we're going to kick you out too, I suppose. So, as a Big Hook says, Ireland had 30,000 applications for Irish citizenship from U.S. citizens fleeing Trump. So, with all the sparklers that are currently here in the chat, again, thank you all for joining in for the raid. Let's go ahead and do this early today. We are going to do something early. We are going to open up the phone lines. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. If you want to call in, you want to leave a comment, you want to talk about a particular issue, you want to question me about anything, you're free to call in. Just remember that if one person's on the phone line, I don't have multiple lines to accept calls. So once somebody gets in and calls in, please make sure to remember to wait your turn and call in once the next person hangs up. So, but again, thank you so much again for everybody who's joined in and joining in on the raid. Let's see. H2O God says FNBS. Absolutely. Like a decade ago. Yeah, they don't care about that. Like, for example, you had a South Korean student who is here trying to get a PhD, I think looking into vaccine research, which could very well be why they don't like him. But he had a marijuana charge. They had a marijuana charge like, 15 years ago? And they detained him for months after he came back home from a family wedding in South Korea. These are the type of people. Again, it's not the worst of the worst. It's not the bad hombres as we were promised. It was the people, who are here legally. They don't give a crap. YouTube is like, now would be a good time to insert ads. Nope, sorry, I'm not inserting ads live during live shows. I don't want people to miss out on that. Unfortunately, with Twitch, you can't get around that. If you're not a Twitch subscriber, you get stuck with ads. However, I'm not doing that on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. If it means less money, so be it. Hey, Karen, good to see you. All too much on top of everything else. Yeah, DB Golding. Jaywalking will be next. Absolutely. They're going to get you for anything. Anything that they can get you on, they're going to get you on because, again, they don't care. They don't give a crap about legality. If MAGA folks gave a crap about legality, MAGA folks wouldn't have elected a 34-time felon. But again, as the people who are coming in from all the sparklers who are coming in right now, just as a reminder, this administration revoked 500,000 people's humanitarian parole that Joe Biden gave them, not because those 500,000 people did anything wrong, but because they didn't like the fact that this administration didn't like the fact that Biden let them in. Of course, Biden let in the person who was accused of shooting the two National Guards people in Washington, D.C., but the Trump administration is the one that gave him asylum. And then Noem said that he wasn't vetted properly. 100+ Filipino cruise ship workers, many of whom were taken out of Norfolk, Virginia, but other ones from other ports. They were working here with legal documentation, and 100 of them plus have now been detained and deported and banned from returning to this country. Why? Because they don't care about legality. All they care about is bigotry. As long as it feeds the bigotry, as long as it gives the bigots in the MAGA base what they voted for, because they'll keep saying it, this is what I voted for. If they do that, as long as they do that, guess what? They're fine and they're happy. At least the administration is. You had a woman in Lakeview, Louisiana, which is in New Orleans, area of New Orleans called Lakeview, Iranian descent, allowed here to be here by previous administrations, here legally, detained for a while before they eventually let her go, but still no reason to. A citizen in Marrero, Louisiana, another suburb of New Orleans, chased down the street by an ICE agent because they thought she might have looked like somebody else who might have been on their list. A person with a proper legal documentation to work here, a legal working permit to be here, I think it was a carpenter, maybe a roofer, detained, at least briefly, because, again, just Hispanic looking. I have a friend of mine who works at a law firm that deals with immigration. She basically said the other day that INS showed up, ICE showed up, and they specifically said, well, we have a warrant. And they're like, okay, show it to me. And they couldn't show it because guess what? They didn't really have a warrant. They lie about having warrants. The Supreme Court, again, ruled 9-0 that every single person who is detained has to be afforded the ability to challenge their detainment, to be able to file a writ of habeas corpus, because 9-0, even Alito, even Thomas said that every single person who is here has the constitutional protections, mind you. They are protected in those rights. They cannot be detained without question. They have to be able to question their detainment. And this administration is ignoring that. We have a constitutional crisis in this country when this administration refuses to follow the rulings that are made by the court. We're supposed to have 3 co-equal branches of government in this country, and the moment that you have an administration that stops following basically the tradition that we have in this country of just respecting the powers of the other 2 branches of government, is the moment we fall into chaos, we fall into a dictatorship. But that's exactly what Donald Trump campaigned on, because he said he wanted to be a dictator on day one. See, the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia. Yes, another one. Look, there's so much shit that this administration has done as it pertains to, lawlessness, especially when it comes to the people who they detain, the people who they deport, the actions that they're taking in the name of, going after the worst of the worst, that we're going to forget several of them now because there's so many that you're going to leave them out. But yes, the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia, South Koreans were helping set up the equipment, and some dumb broad called in a tip. And ICE, well, we try not to call people dumb broads unless it's like, MTG or Kristi Noem or whatever. Didn't even try to ask anybody if they were there legally. One call, they sent a private plane to come pick everyone up and bring them home to South Korea. Exactly. It's horrific. Trump trying to turn us into Russia. Well, that's because Trump loves Putin. He absolutely loves Putin. And we do have a phone call in, the first call of the night, which of course is typically Big Hook, our friend from the Great White North in Canada. Welcome, Big Hook. Say hello to all the sparklers that are listening and watching right now. 181 viewers live on YouTube right now. So you have a bigger audience than normal, Big Hook. Do your job.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
No pressure whatsoever, right?
Yes. Different day, same nightmare. It's always frustrating to see stuff happening, and then you see little steps of accountability, and then it's followed by 3 more crimes in plain sight, and going, what are you sad that you didn't think to do it before us? And that's what it seems to feel like anyway. These people don't pay for crimes. They hide behind the political veil of it's just politics. No, it isn't. It's
right.
Criminal activity.
Right. Look, with the criminal, it's not just criminal activity when it comes to immigration too. You had Judge Andrew Napolitano on Fox News, or he was on Fox News with Hegseth, and he was like, "Look, it pains me to say it because I worked with him and I liked him, but these actions when it came to the bombing of those 2 survivors from the initial bombing on their remains of their boat, he basically said this is a war crime." Plain and simple, and there's no other way to look at it, and there needs to be people prosecuted for war crimes in this administration. And it doesn't matter if Trump decides to pardon them, because even if they're, pardoned here, you can't pardon people from international war crimes at The Hague. Trump doesn't have that authority, at least not yet. We don't want to make sure that doesn't happen either. So,
yeah, but like that little video that you did of Kristi Noem. She is completely unapologetic. That was the psychopath stare if I ever saw it. The female version of Trump. She's probably like that. What was it? That district attorney general who drove his car and then ended up killing somebody, and then claimed that he thought he hit a deer when in fact, there was blood and eyeglasses sitting there in his car. And, these people just, they don't follow the rules of society or of decency or anything. It's just one thing after another. They'll say, and their only comeback is, you can't live up 100% to all the principles you conveyed to believe in, and right. So why should we agree to live up to anything?
Right. People are not perfect, so that's their excuse for being miserable, shitty people. Like H2O God says in the Twitch chat, all the people have no scruples. There's none. Look, if I made an incorrect statement on this show or anywhere else, and then you were able to show me that I was wrong, I would be like, you know what, I apologize. I didn't realize that was the case. A, I'll look into it if I had the power to look into it, and B, I apologize for saying the wrong thing. But that's not what these psychopaths do. These psychopaths will be told, here's where you're wrong, here's where you're being shown to at least be spreading misinformation, if not being a flat-out liar, and they pivot to, well, this is the new spin that we're going to use. I mean, and it happens all in this administration, from Caroline Leavitt to Kristi Noem to Pete Hegseth to Donald Trump. They're all able to, do that because they're all con artists. And Donald Trump, while he might not be very intelligent, he is still a good, as in talented, con man and knows the art of the con. That's what the book should have been called. Not the art of the deal, but the art of the con. Anyway, go on, continue.
Art of the steal, most likely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think of him. I mean, the other thing is that, I mean, he recognized his own kind. That's why he went after Cohen there as his lawyer, because he said, oh, I need an established racist piece of shit lawyer who will teach me the ropes as to how to succeed in the political arena. And I mean, you look at it, and that's who all these sycophants are mirroring now, because they all think, oh, well, if Trump can go around being unapologetic and never be held accountable, then I should be able to do the same thing, Exactly. And that's disgusting on a level that,
Yeah.
I don't think I can ever forgive Merrick Garland for fucking it up so royally. I mean, and details are coming out with books and whatnot that how he didn't press things far enough, and how he was like, oh, if I do this, people will claim that I'm being, partial or, whatnot, and that, I have to defend the institution and try to make people believe that it's a nonpartisan prosecution somehow. And, I mean, he should have stepped in and fucking said, no, Eileen Cannon is not allowed to rule on these cases, on the documents case or anything else. And, and said, fuck it. Jack Smith is going to go and he is going to lay it out there for everybody to see, and we're going to make it a public fucking trial, and that's going to be the end of it, because if Trump is so confident that he has all the answers, let's put him on trial and tell him that if we catch you in a lie, you're going to jail.
And they had a more solid case. They had an even more solid case about the Bedminster file, the files that he showed the people at his Bedminster resort, than they did for the Florida. With the Florida case, you could absolutely have a case that he lied to the grand jury because he had his lawyers claim that he submitted all of the classified documents that were at Mar-a-Lago when he had not. But with the Bedminster case, you had him on audio stating that he could have declassified the documents that he was showing these people, but he did not declassify them, and he was showing people without proper clearance these files that were classified. And that case should have... Hold on, let me finish. That case should have been open, not in Florida. That case should have been open in New Jersey, or up in that district up there. And because they didn't do that, they screwed the pooch yet again. They could have filed multiple lawsuits in multiple places, and maybe with several lawsuits, they might have moved them all to one centralized location, maybe D.C. But again, you're right. Garland did that. One other quick thing before you go back to your point, H2O got over and the Twitch goes, but Joe Biden is their response to everything. And of course, had Biden done it, they would pitch a fit. But whenever Trump does things that Biden would have done, when Trump does those things, it's okay. As the song says.
Had Biden done it,
Yeah, I know.
You can't.
But that's just, yeah, I know. But just the thing is that they're gonna, they say, oh, but the, just the appearance of impropriety makes Biden guilty. And it's like, the appearance and actual proof are completely different things.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like the the Republicans don't hold themselves to a standard that allows them to walk on everything, and they just go, well, shit happens, and yeah, we admit we're the ones that shit there, right there in front of you, and that's our shit that you keep walking in and dragging all over the place, and whatnot. I mean, with the Benghazi trial, everything else. Oh, and Jim Jordan. Oh yeah, he doesn't want to have a public hearing with Jack Smith laying out all the details. Oh, we have to have a closed hearing because people might learn the truth, and and then I mean, on top of that, Jim Jordan, he's a righteous dude. I mean, he allowed wrestlers to knowingly be sexually assaulted by Dr. Strauss, and said nothing, and said, in fact, oh, that's just Strauss, that's him, I don't know why he hangs around in the college in the sports room showers all the time. I mean, there's no justification for him to do that. In fact, he's got his own private shower stall and whatnot, yet he insists to be there and be with these finely toned athletes and subject them to these testicular exams and whatnot. And it's like it's just one thing after another. These guys are the monsters who deny everything but are proud of everything that they're accused of.
Right.
And they go, oh, see, we're the kind of piece of shit that that Republicans love.
Oh yeah.
We're just doing the good old boys thing. Who
Just
cares
a
who
good old boy.
gets fucking hurt? I mean, and that's just it. I can't with Republicans because they don't live by ethics or standards. And when they do, it's because they see that consequences are coming, and then they go and they say, you know what, I'm going to just resign and then go use the lobbyist connections that I've obtained to go and work in the private sector and collect a hefty paycheck for legislation that I signed that which is only fit to be used as toilet paper.
Right.
I mean, and that's what it boils down to, because you just tell me even one piece of legislation that they have written that has benefited, the common man out there. Tell me one, that hasn't just benefited directly billionaires and millionaires and let them off the hook, or deregulation that has allowed them to poison the waterways, or something else, or the pollution, or cut funding to hospitals or whatnot. You tell me.
Oh, there's this one radio host down here in Louisiana. It's not New Orleans, but his name is Moon Griffon, and I haven't used any of his clips yet. But he is so in love with the oil industry, like he would marry it if they could. Like he is so obsessed, and he is so angry that even like he's angry at like Jeff Landry, the Louisiana's mini MAGA governor, because there is an active lawsuit going against oil companies for damaging the coast of Louisiana, and he is like, well, why are you doing this? Like, and that's the voice he makes too. He gets very high pitched and cracky. Like it's you're doing it because you're in an industry that you might like, it doesn't mean that they're always going to do the right thing and they have to go within the law, but they don't want them to be able to go within the law. As long as you're making money to these people, that's the justification for every single effing thing that they do. Before you continue, Big Hook, I just want to say, if anybody out there on Twitch or YouTube, if you want to call in, just please put it in the chat that you want to call in, and I'll let Big Hook know, because me and Big Hook could talk for a while. So if you want the ability to call in, just let us know, and I'll cut things short with Big Hook and let some other callers call in. But until that happens, we're gonna have Big Hook.
I'm more than willing to share the limelight. Yes. I don't need it all the time, but the question is with these Republicans, the question. What's one of the principles of psychopathy and the question, like, for example, in Trading Places, what was it, nature or nurture? And it's a question of, were they born as these psychopathic pieces of shit, or were they brought up as psychopathic pieces of shit?
I think it's because they were brought up. I think honestly, it's mostly because they were brought up. Maybe there are people who have mental issues that cause it. I mean, we already discussed in the show how Trump, doesn't have object permanence, and that is actually a phenomenon that happens to people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, which clearly Trump has. But other than that, I think, but I'm sure also in part of that, it was also nurture, because Fred Trump is a giant piece of shit too. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and these people, and the funny part is remember when they said the people in New York were like, we've known this guy is a piece of shit and he lies constantly and nobody likes him. So many people in New York have been screwed over by this guy royally, and without the help of Mark Burnett to revive his portfolio in the public sphere by giving him the Apprentice show, where apparently, he was difficult to work with most of the time. I mean, there's so many people that have stories that he was reading from a script. He wasn't actually a participant. He was just reading lines. He was acting. He wasn't actually involved. And I mean, these stupid apprentice ventures like, can you open a hot dog vending thing and become successful? And it's like on New York City street. And it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Right.
That's not, I mean, I don't know how stupid you got to be to basically buy into this premise of this bullshit thing of the reality TV, because that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like the Golden Bachelor. Oh yeah, well, you can, in one day or one night, and when you sleep with so many men and decide, oh gee, which one do I like to sleep with the most? That should be my husband. Fuck, there's more to it than just who do you enjoy sleeping with the most.
Right.
But
sex sells. So that's why the show does well, because sex sells, right? They can find a whole bunch of attractive people and then have sex and drama, and that's going to make them bank, because that's the kind of bread and circuses or whatever that they rely on for us to be able to watch and stare at, so we pay no attention to the orange buffoon behind the curtain.
Yeah, but that's the same thing like with the Real Housewives of whatever city, I mean, and then you got, what was that other series that came out, The Mormon Wives?
I actually started watching that just because I wanted to see, and it was unwatchable. It was terrible. Like, I could not. Like, I was like, I just wanted to see what the big deal is about this show, and I was just like, it's just terrible. Like, just ugh. Like, take people who are repressed because of their religious beliefs, and then throw in swinging, which then throws the whole big thing in the boat, and then whatever. And then but
that's a polygamous culture
too,
right there anyway. So I mean, that sort of fits into the thing, because they're taught that they're supposed to be subservient to men anyway, and so they have no idea what their real identity is, and then they're all right. So I mean, they're pretty much fucked up from birth. I mean, that's the way I see it anyway. I mean, they go out there and they go like, oh, look at me, I look so pretty and everything, so everybody should worship me and give me everything that I want in life, with me sitting there doing nothing. It's like, fuck off.
Right.
I have no interest in you. In fact, but the only thing you're, qualified to do is be an organ donor. That's about it.
Yeah, Nick Rich goes, the entire 47th administration is nothing but a reality TV show. And even then, people would look at it and be like, this can't be real. This has to be staged. If they took this and said this is reality, and then put it into a show, it wouldn't sell, because it doesn't seem plausible that people would be this stupid to vote for this guy. But here we are, and they are, because again, as Donald Trump said after the 2016 Nevada primaries, that he loves the poorly educated. I think it's the only people that he's ever said that he loves. I don't know. I have never heard him say that he loves his kids. I've never heard him say that he loves any of his wives.
Outside of Ivanka, who he constantly says, "Oh, if you weren't my daughter, I'd probably date you and
well, that's
and
not love.
already
That's
have had
lust.
sex with you."
That's not love. That's lust. But I don't think he's ever said the words "I love Ivanka." But he has said that he loves the poorly educated. And we all know why, because that those are the people who are easiest to con.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. One of the things that I'm worried about, and which Timothy Snyder has said, is that Trump is dividing the state, the country, to the point where it's going to be north and south. He's worried that that's what it will basically come down. People who want to live their values and live within the system that works for them. So if the Republicans want to live within a system that basically rewards millionaires and billionaires and fucks themselves, then they can live in the South. And those who believe in actual democracy and the forward progress of society, which cares about one another and that fixes things without obstruction. And I mean, that may be the answer, to be totally honest with you. Because if you think about it, I mean, if the North were to be all democratic things, guess what they could do? Right. They could push through universal health care.
Yep.
They could, publicly fund all schools federally to an acceptable standard, and as well fund universities and whatnot, and end the student debt crisis.
Yep. Well, that's going to become even worse, though, as we talked about earlier when we went over the whole SAVE plan ridiculousness. That the student debt crisis is going to become much worse under this administration, and I don't know if I'll be able to financially survive it if it gets as bad as I think it could be, because it's going to make things impossible for me to be able to handle, and you can't write it off on bankruptcy. So there you go. But yeah, so. Well, but I mean, during the pandemic, even though I was like, look, if you want to have them, let them have King Trump or whatever. He could be dictator for life. Instead of saying the South, I was like, look, give him all of the middle of the country. Give him, Montana, Kansas, North and South Dakota, Idaho, whatever. Give them all of that area. Let them call it Dumbfuckistan. Install Trump as ruler for life. Let them build a wall around their own thing. And within 10 years, they'll die of some communicable disease that's easily prevented just from social distancing. And then we'll just be able to come take it right back. And it'll be all their doing as to why they no longer exist.
Yeah, Carlin was right. We should put it on TV and let them kill each other over their backward principles. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you hear them talk and all the things that they say and whatnot, and you start thinking, wow, the gene pool is really shallow right there.
Right.
They just don't get it, and that's the worst part. They don't get humor either. They go, oh, it's funny. Trump is beating the crap out of these people and sending them to their deaths in other countries where they don't speak the same language and with nothing less than basically the shirt off on their back and a pair of pants and maybe one pair of shoes. It's wonderful. Isn't it funny? I got to watch people die. Like, fuck off.
And the amount of people that are just sitting here applauding, like, the deaths of people, like, this is what I voted for. Yeah, you voted for murder. Wait, that's exactly what Jesus would have done, right? I mean, I'm Jewish, so I can't. I mean, I guess I might be able to more speak for Jesus what he did, because Jesus was Jewish too. But that's exactly what Jesus want, right? Murder the people in boats. That's exactly what Jesus would have called for. He would have called in bomb strikes on people just because they, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it. It's porn, right, for these guys, because that's what they like. They treat it like a video game. It's like, oh, yeah, well, this is like Call of Duty, except it's for real. We get to see the sanitized black and white infrared, camera images of people getting killed.
Right.
And I was like, are you sick?
Right.
And, the question is, and I mean, where did we get this from? I mean, other than, let's say, with George Bush and their bombing of, Iraq and all the things that they did. And they kept showing all the videos over and over again about all these facilities and all these bombs being dropped and everything else and whatnot.
Shock and all.
And,
Remember, shock. They're going to show shock and all, and that, as if that was supposed to be a good thing. Like, yay, let's celebrate the loss of human life. Woohoo.
I mean, I don't, honestly, like, and the sad part was, you guys didn't learn the lesson from Bush.
Nope.
And you said, oh, that's not bad enough. We have to put someone even worse than him into power and give us our jollies about killing people and, getting rid of brown people who pick the food that I eat every day and make it affordable, as well as, make the crop and everything else subsidized, because guess what? They're buying all the same basic needs, which then makes the demand higher, which means the supply is more, which means that the prices go down. I mean, fuck.
Right.
They don't understand economics one fucking bit. And that's the thing. If you deport all these fucking people, you are the only customers left. And guess what? They decide what you pay, not what you're willing to pay.
Right.
Like, I swear, you call them dumb, and they go, oh, don't you call us dumb? And it's like, and you explain to them why you say they're dumb, and they go, oh, well, I'm from a generation of people who've done this, who've been jackasses our whole lives, and we refuse to change because that's America. Like, it's nauseating. I feel, I watch what goes on down there, and every little bit I just want to throw up in my mouth, because I'm like, oh my God. You just keep doing the same thing over and over again, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yep.
And you've done it for the last fucking 50 years with the Republicans. And every time they get into power, it's another recession. People lose their homes. People lose their lives. People lose their health care. People lose everything. And what? So that way the billionaires can own everything?
Right.
I just don't get it.
And with his stupid, economic policies, China bought slightly more than 50% last year of the $24.5 billion of produce that U.S. soybean farmers sold to international markets. This year, U.S. exports to China have fallen to more than half of that. So Donald Trump's policies have cost farmers $12.25 billion at least when it comes to soybeans, and that's not including other crops. And then he wants to solve that with $11 billion from the tariffs to go help the farmers that he screwed over out of even more money. So you're not even giving them what you've helped them with the soy farmers, and now this is the plan for all of the farmers. And meanwhile, he gives what, $40 billion to prop up the foreign governments just because he wants to rig their elections and make sure that they vote for his preferred candidate. It's absurd. And then people be like, oh, he's so thoughtful for thinking of the farmers and giving them the $11 billion. No, he's an idiot, and he's trying to stop the bleeding from how bad he looks, and hopefully it's not going to work, because he actually keeps losing. He's losing at the polls. He's losing, frickin' Miami, 20-something plus years of no Democratic mayor. Now they have a Democratic mayor. Got swept in the earlier elections. Hell, even Louisiana's governor.
Georgia had one.
Yeah, Louisiana's Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, who is a big old staunch Republican, has basically said there has to be a better way. He's received calls from business owners in the state who are facing labor shortages as workers with valid work permits remain at home out of fear of being detained by immigration agents. They said, we're getting rid of criminals. Those people, a lot of them have played by the rules and have a work visa, and they're now fearful, which they should be, because ICE is not targeting just the worst of the worst, as we've seen. And of course, mini MAGA Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, is criticizing his own lieutenant governor for that. But at the end of the day, Nungesser's right. There has to be a better way, because this is the worst. This is one of the worst ways to go. The only ways that will make it worse is if we fast forward to Germany 1944 instead of being in Germany 1934 right now.
Yeah, but you know what? Part of the problem is that because of the states' rights issues, they're allowed to teach whatever version of history the Republicans want to be taught to them. Whether it be in Texas, where they teach them this different version of history of how things happened, and then and I mean, now what is it? Trump is going to try and get rid of Juneteenth, and all these other things, and then put his birthday, which is Flag Day, as the only day that you can go to the public parks for free. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who's going to do that now? Like, the public parks are a joke now, because he's basically cut all the staff and everything else. And I mean, so they're just basically garbage dumps now. So people will be going to the park once and going, oh my God, this is an awful experience. There's garbage everywhere. Everybody acts like idiots. There's no staff anywhere. The wildlife are roaming around, and there's no guardrails whatsoever,
Right.
And, I mean, this is just it. He doesn't he is basically dismantling the government one institution at a time. And, like I said, he wants to be king. He wants to have his say on absolutely everything. And it doesn't work.
It shouldn't, at least, but I mean, he's been.
I mean,
how I don't know how we recover once he finally stops listening to them altogether. Like, I don't know how we're able. Like, again, as I've said, for the benefit of the folks who might be new to the show, we've had a tradition of having administrations follow Supreme Court rulings. If this administration then figures out, well, we're just not going to follow it. We're just not going to follow what the rulings that we disagree with. And then what can the courts do? How do the courts? It then requires the military to step in. And who knows if they will or not. Richard
military don't.
Hold on, Richard over in Twitch asks, "Are Canadian maggots stupid too?" I mean, I would assume so, because anyone maggot.
Oh yeah, we've got our fair share of idiots up here too. They are just I mean, that's the thing. They follow along the same principles. They do the redneck sort of culture thing, and that nobody tells me what to do, and I tell women what to do and where to go and when to and if I don't come home and there's a meal cooked ready for me when I come home from work, I mean, shit's gonna hit the fan, and there might be some kids that are victims, but I mean, that'll build character, that sort of thing, and I mean, that's just. I really hate conservatives. I really do, because they're just bullies. They've gained everything that they've ever had through bullying, and they learned it through the generational past handover of adulthood from their parents. And they believe that the way that they were brought up is the way that they should treat everybody around them. And they brag about how they're successful, and it's like, successful at what? Being assholes?
Mm.
And I mean, that's just it, like, I really worry about it, because the thing is that there's so much good in the world, and there's so much potential to fix the problems that we have right now. And there are people that are like, you know what, we're too far gone. You know, we might as well just destroy the planet and live as long as we possibly can, and just be happy with that. And I'm like, fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is bullshit, where you go and you say, you know, whatever I can get for me is what's most important, rather than, you know, how we live together in peace as a community and fulfill the requirements to live a happy, fruitful life and produce a generation of people who will continue on that tradition and make the world a better place. You know, I mean, that's a positive and possible aspiration, you know, and we can do it by listening to real scientists, as opposed to fucking bullshit politicians who constantly have their hands out saying, give me money and I'll make sure you get your way. We'll deregulate everything and you can pollute to your heart's content.
Right.
You know? And who cares, you know? And then when I'm done, if they don't reelect me, you guarantee me a job as in your company, because you lobbied me and I did what you asked. So, you know, I expect something that's going to take care of me for the rest of my life. Well, fuck the rest of them.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is how these people operate. That's what I say. I don't like Republicans. I don't like conservatives. They are all in for themselves and fuck everyone else.
Yep.
You know.
Just a reminder, real quick, because the people watching the show, we have 135 concurrent viewers, but 46 likes. Please remember to smash that like button, because that helps the algorithm, and algorithm needs more rhythm. Also, remember, if you are new to the system, if you are new to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right. Just make sure there are tons of videos out there. If you've not subscribed yet to the channel, please remember to do so. Also, there's lots of videos, shorts, longer form videos, old shows, clips from old shows. Make sure to go share those as well. Comment on those. Commenting, apparently, at least according to Riverboat Jack, commenting is the best thing you could do to help the algorithm up. We're trying to make a big push to try and get more subscribers here on YouTube, and that'll help push the message even more. Thank you, Alyosha, for the 14 bits over on Twitch as well. Okay, go ahead and continue.
Well, like I said, I know I sound like a pessimist, but I'm actually a realist. I just see things the way they are, and I see the people that are pushing the agenda in the wrong direction, and when you call them out, they go, oh, well, that's a difference of opinion. And it's like, yeah, difference of opinion, because you believe that you're owed everything while everybody else can go fucking fend for themselves with the breadcrumbs that are left over after you're done fucking everything up.
Right.
And that's, that's where we are, and, they're going to try and put Turning Point USA in all the high schools. Like, what fucking shit is that?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, we already did it in the colleges, but we got to get them even younger than that, because, college people actually figure out that we're full of shit and eventually turn against us, unless they were brought up as racist by their parents and their community. There's always going to be assholes. We're a collective of assholes that agree with each other and don't care about anybody or anything, and we're in it for what we can get out of it, and not much of anything else, and this is the way they operate, and like when they're faced with a real argument and you ask, what is your answer? They go, well, they don't have any answers. And if they do, they do the gish gallop, and then they try and say, oh, but you did this and you did that. And like, we're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
Right.
And what are your solutions for the problem? And they gish gallop and they obfuscate and they fucking dilly-dally, and then they say, oh, this is what I mean. We're being bullied upon. It's like, because you don't do the work. You don't think. You're not critical thinkers. You're basically, you're predators who prey on people who have emotions that are manipulable to the point where you can push them against other people who want real things in life and who want solutions and want to make the world a better place versus, oh, well, but if I have more than everybody else, and it's the old adage, whoever dies with the most toys wins, and that's the way these billionaires and all the rest of them operate. I mean, like, what do you do after you've accumulated $1 billion? You live off the interest the rest of your fucking life. In fact, you never actually take money out. You borrow against whatever your stock is or whatever, and then, and you never fucking pay taxes because you wrote the rules to say that, oh, well, that's non-taxable income.
And that's what the poor, impoverished MAGA folks who, think that one day they might be rich enough so that they can benefit from these tax plans too. They will never go against it because even though they're unlikely to ever hit that goal, but they'll continue being apologists for the people who do live that way and not realizing how they're doing it and how they're getting away with it, and don't even care to even worry about it. I don't even think they're technically intellectually capable of understanding how it works either, which is even worse. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? They're brought up within a community that basically had substandard schooling, that also had teachers who were probably within the political atmosphere were approved by other people because they would teach things based upon whatever bullshit, biblical nonsense that they believe should be pushed on the people and everything else. And then they tell the lies and everything else and whatnot, and then they pretend, oh, see, you know the Bible, therefore you must be a good person. It's like, yeah, no, what you know is the Bible out of context, right. that basically fits the narrative that other people want you to retell to another bunch of people who will then use that as the justification for cruelty to other people that don't share your vision of the world.
Which is why you need to go buy if you haven't done so, go buy John Fugelsang's book. It's available with a link in the podcast description here on YouTube. So just go to the show description and you can get a link to John Fugelsang's book, Separation of Church and Hate. Support him and support the show.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do my own little grift. Apparently grifting is how it works, right? So I had to do my own little grift. So click my affiliate button.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's a positive thing though, because the more people know, the more people can't be bullshitted and bullied,
right.
And that's the thing. They rely on the fact that people don't know enough, or better yet, they use the obfuscation, the gish gallop, the talking over other people while they're giving their explanation, or better yet, asking the very same question that they have no answers for. The funny thing is who I really like lately who's been on the panels besides Fugelsang has been Politics Girl. She really shames the shit out of these guys, especially these pastors that are on these panels and whatnot. And she just lays it out and stares them in the eye, and they're like, and they know that they got nothing. They got nothing because she's well versed enough in it, and she knows the bullshit that they ply out there, and the anger and racism that they believe in and whatnot. And and I mean, that's the thing. When your soul is for sale, and you're a selfish asshole who doesn't believe in anything other than the almighty dollar, you know, you deserve to be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but they don't actually mind being miserable as long as they know that there are other people who are more miserable than them.
but that's the whole thing. It's the misery loves company principle, whereas they go, well, if I'm miserable and everybody else is miserable, and I've succeeded because I don't want to see anybody happy. I don't want to see anybody get ahead. I don't want to see a community succeed as a community, because that would mean that there was equal distribution of everything where everybody got their needs met. And we can't have that. That's the very, you know, opposite of conservatism.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. We live in such an upside down world where, you know, people do things that don't make sense, you know, and the other thing is you guys don't enforce the laws, whether it be anti-monopoly laws or anything else. You had the FDR tax policies, which worked really, really well because it created a growing middle class, and you had things like the Voting Rights Act and things that were improving things and whatnot. And you know, and you didn't have it. You actually had decent people in the Supreme Court who made monumental rulings, as opposed to everything after Reagan just completely turned to dog shit, where you got Clarence Thomas, Alito, then you got Roberts, then you got Kavanaugh, then you got, you know, Amy Coney, Crazy Eyes Barrett, you know, oh, I'm Roman Catholic, and I, you know, the Bible and God somehow speaks to me or speaks through me, and, you know, whatever, and, you know, and I mean, Gorsuch, whose mother was a failing EPA person from before, and he feels slighted in that he has to invoke revenge on her behalf because, you know, people basically revealed her for being a lying piece of shit who harmed people and allowed the corporations to basically get away with murder, you know. And I mean, this is all that the Republican Party ever has to offer is people who are lobbyists for these companies. I mean, who is it? Isn't Sean Duffy? He used to be an airline lobbyist or something like that, right?
Right.
Like, why the hell is he running the Department of Transportation?
Because
right? How can you trust somebody who took money from the very entity that wants the rules changed so that way they don't have, you know, stuff or regulations, which in the end kills people, including, you know, you have no air traffic controllers, or, you know, you got rid of a whole bunch of them because you decided, oh, DEI means that unqualified people get in there, people with brown skin and or Asian people or whatever, and, you know, they may have an accent, but they're smart as a fucking whip, and they know 10 times as much as me, but I don't want them directing where the airplanes go because that would make sense.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is the kind of shit that you got to deal with. And I mean, they're not ashamed of this shit. I mean, what's his name? Foghorn Leghorn of your
Kennedy? Yeah, Senator Kennedy
of your region of the woods. I mean, fuck. What a fucking joke. And the thing is he never used to talk that way before.
He literally had a commercial where he was like, I'd rather drink weed killer, is one of the lines of what he would rather do instead of whatever he was talking about. The funny thing is, back when I ran for Congress in 2004, David Vitter, that's when he decided to run for Senate. And one of the people that was running, or several of the people who were running against David Vitter, one of them was Democrat John Neely Kennedy. And the Republicans attacked him as being the more liberal or leftist of the two Democrats trying to challenge David Vitter for that position. And he's magically now become the darling of the right. Like, I mean,
Yeah, because he was a corporate Democrat who basically got seduced by money and the lobbyists and basically said, you know what, I can't pull off this shtick as a corporate Democrat any longer, and there's more money in being a snake,
right?
In real life, who just constantly says stupid shit, and then on top of that, he's the first one to say, oh, I went to what was it, Oxford or whatever, you know, he went over to England and got his law degree or whatever, you know, and so he says, I'm smarter than anybody out here, and you know, and yet he talks like a redneck idiot all the time, because it's like, oh yeah, because nobody can take me seriously. I come across as too uppity for MAGA voters or you know, whatever, who think that they would perceive that I'm talking down to them, as opposed to. So, I mean, he has crafted a whole persona of falsehood completely about himself, because he's basically a chameleon. He basically wants to you know, be, you know, what he is to get the money. I don't know what his worth is. I mean, I'm sure you could Google it, but I'll bet you he's worth over $40 or $50 million now.
Oh,
you know, he's probably played the insider trading game. He's, you know, taken money hand over fist from all the lobbyists and whatnot. You know, I mean, you know, nobody. I don't think anybody likes him. You know, and that's just it. You know, I mean. Outside of maybe Lindsey Graham, who plays the same shuck and jive bullshit, impropriety of being correct, you know, and that's the thing. Like, Graham would sometimes say something that was actually legitimate, and then the next thing you know, he turns around and says the exact opposite. You know, whoever gives me money is what opinion I will have. You know, they're bought and paid for. You know, I mean,
has anybody up in Canada, this is a question, just with the stupidity of this administration, has anybody up there really tackled the whole issue of Marco Rubio making the big important executive decision of changing the official font from Calibri back to Times New Roman? Has anybody been talking about that up there?
I don't think anybody cares. I to be honest with you, nobody takes Rubio seriously. I mean, he's gone and betrayed his own people. I mean, he comes from the Latin Cuban community, and I mean, he's gone and he's just totally fucked over his own people at this point. Who cares?
But now the Cubans have, you know, people, you know, Miami has a large Cubans thing. That's probably a lot of the conservative votes. It's probably why he had a lot of Republican mayors in Miami, and now they've rejected him too. But it's just, you know, it's one of the other things that just, it talks about the cruelty of this administration and how can a change of font be cruel? Well, the reason that that Tony Blinken moved to Calibri in 2023 is because it's better for people who has certain like visual disabilities or something. But now they're like, nope, we don't want to help people. We're going to go back to this other font. So they're weaponizing.
Yeah, but
font
that was
now.
a DEI.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullshit thing. You know, like, I mean, that's the thing. They pick the racist battles, you know, and that's just it. You know, they're not about unity. They're about division. They're not about helping the community. They're about taking what they can from corporatist interests who fuck over the community. I mean, that's just it. They're corporate slaves who basically, you know, fuck over everybody. I mean, you look at the unions and everything that have been fucked over the years and whatnot. I mean, you know, by the time Trump is done, there'll be a whole whack of these unions that'll be dead. You know, I mean, same thing. I'll bet you he'll step in and then eliminate National Labor Relations Board, so that way the Starbucks workers can't get a contract. Right. You know, I mean, And this is the way these guys play. You know, cruelty as well as getting my way. You know, you accept the crumbs that I give you, or you just, or you're unemployed, or better yet, you know, if you're going to start a union, we'll just, they did that up here in Vancouver. We had 2 union Starbucks shops. Guess what they did? They shut them down.
Yep.
And then claimed that there wasn't traffic for them. You know, it's always the same bullshit excuse, you know. And, like, how do you do that? You know?
I wish I could explain it, but if I could explain it, maybe I would have a much broader audience. Who knows? But
yeah, I know.
But at least, you know, as we're talking about the, you know, the failures of this administration and how they just keep losing time and time again, is like, you know, they again failed to indict Letitia James one more time for good measure. Like, how bad do y'all have to be? Again, there's the whole, you can indict a ham sandwich if you wanted to. Like, they can't even do that. They can't even get that right, which is the thing that drives me crazy. Is just like they fail so much. It just shows you how the power of stupid people in large numbers. That even though they're failures, even though they can't understand how to do things the right way, they have enough of them to where it doesn't even matter. They overcome their ineptitude with just sheer numbers, and it's harming everybody. And as you brought up the other day, I mean, it's concerning. The mild concerning thing is, like, with all this failure that they're doing, that's only going to force them to push. That might force them just to push their hand faster to try and push us into even more and more tyranny, which is, you know,
well, that's my worry is that they're going to speed up the process and just ignore the Supreme Court and everything else. And then, you know, if they can figure out a way to find out who the people who are MAGA loyalists within the military, he's going to basically impose martial law under his rule, you know, and, you know, what do you do from there? I mean, as it is right now, I mean, I'm just amazed that people have kept their cool and not engaged ICE in violent means. Because I could see it happening. I could see it happening so easily. But that's the difference between Democrats and progressives versus conservatives. Because you know damn well if they started coming and charging maggots for stuff and doing all this stuff, you know that they would bring out the guns and there would be a civil war. You know, lickety split.
Right.
And that's just it, you know. And
well, supposedly DHS is claiming that there were 2 twins from New Jersey who threatened to shoot ICE officers on site and hang Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin. Of course, whether or not you should believe what's coming out of DHS is another matter altogether, because, again, you know, they've lied so many times that I have a hard time actually believing that that's the reason why these people were actually arrested.
Well, I'm just curious who they found the girlfriend of Antifa is. What poor person did they lock up and won't tell us who they are and what they're being charged with or whatnot? Because that's the other big lie that they keep putting out there for the maggots to consume and lick their chops about, you know, being so high and mighty, you know, I mean,
right.
And that's just it, you know. I don't know where you go with this stuff anymore, because, you know, the absurdity of everything and how far it will go is just off the charts, you know. I mean, you guys, every day you have a mass shooting there in your country. You got more fucking guns than people, and yet you don't have a fucking healthcare system that works.
Nope.
You know? I mean, you guys have your priorities so fucking ass backwards, you know. You know, you might as well paint your ass and walk backwards so that way people would realize what you are, you know. I mean, that's just it, you know. I mean, what was that old joke, I think, was you'd shave your dog's ass and paint a face on it and teach it to walk backwards. I mean, this is the kind of stupidity that we deal with these people.
Yep.
These are the same people that scam the insurance companies. These are the same people that do all this stuff. And these are the same people that go and do the mass shootings in malls and stuff and target brown people who've done nothing to hurt them in any way and have subsidized their way of life for probably a good 20-odd years of their life. And all they got is anger and contempt for these people who don't play under the same set of rules or privileges that these idiots already have at their hands, and then abuse the Second Amendment to buy guns and then go out there and kill people for what? Right. Oh, I read a book, the Turner Diaries, and I believe bullshit, and and then the same thing. But I mean, what gets me is that when we get people in power like Obama, and he tried to negotiate with these people over the ACA.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they shredded that thing to shit. And then in the end, none of them would fucking vote for it. And then Mitch McConnell comes out and says, I'm going to make sure that this president is a one-term president and only. It's like, what? He just fucking gave all these people health care. He provided health care for 23 million people. What the fuck have you done, Mitch McConnell?
Right.
But what gets me is that then Obama went and he bailed out the corporations when the housing crisis happened, and nobody got charged except for a European banker who was basically the fall guy for all the American ones who fucked everything over and lined their pockets and then ran away.
Right.
And then when he was faced with the dilemma that the FBI said the greatest terrorism threat within America is domestic terrorism.
And right-wing domestic terrorism at that.
And then he fucking backed away from that when they asked him, can we form a committee and start to investigate and prosecute these people because they present a huge danger to the nation. And guess what?
Right.
That's where we are now. That's where we are now. These idiots have congregated and they've, spread the poison philosophy out there, and they believe that they are white Christian, nationalist, populist, fascists who are deserving of the nation, and they want to get rid of anybody that doesn't look like them, talk like them, think like them, And what do you do with that? Obama had the opportunity to nip it in the bud, and he was like, oh, well, we have to work with these fucking Republicans, so we have to play nice and give in and whatnot. And it's like, no, you don't.
Exactly.
I mean, Newt Gingrich was a piece of shit. Everybody knew he was a piece of shit, and he fucking went and said all this stuff. And when you had the chance to do things with, what's his name, the Boner or whatever.
Yeah, John Boehner.
Or Boehner.
Yeah.
And they said, no. No.
If you bring up Boehner, you might start to cry, though, because John Boehner is very teary. Although there's nothing wrong. I mean, that's one thing. People mock John Boehner for shedding tears or whatever. But you know what? We should be appreciating, guys, who can actually show emotion, because I wish we had more people, even on the right, who would be willing to show emotion than having the soulless, heartless pieces of crap that are in this current administration. So,
yeah, but the thing is that you have such a cycle of failure, and at every point it's been capitulation to Republican demands, which in the end up hurting people right, left, and center, everywhere. And that's the thing. And there has been no accountability for these people. Maybe the faces change, but the policies don't. It's always the same bullshit. It's always the same.
I think I think it's getting worse. I think there's been policy creep where it's just become worse and worse and worse and worse. Or at least they're more honest about the fact that they're terrible people, because that's what Donald Trump has done in his presidency. Is he's emboldened the worst of us to make them be more open about the fact that they're deplorable. So,
yeah, well, I mean, I can't disagree with you. That's the thing. And the rest of the world sees it the way I see it, I think. We look at it and we go, you're a failed democracy because you keep negotiating with the terrorists and giving them everything that they want.
Right.
And if you haven't figured it out, the terrorists are the Republicans.
Pretty much.
Because they're negotiating on top for their masters, the billionaires and the millionaires who think that they have to own everything that isn't nailed down, and if that means bankrupting their farmers, bankrupting regular citizens, increasing the rents and making life unaffordable and creating more homeless who will then go out there and die. And then on top of that, they say, oh, well, if they don't die, then we have to make money by jailing them, by making private prisons that we can then put them all in. And then we're making money off the government again, and this is the thing.
Wait, you forgot the more part. Then the private prisons, or the people that own the private prisons, will then contribute to PACs and political campaigns of the candidates who will support the private prisons. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's a giant money funneling, money laundering scam. So,
thank you for completing the thought. That's the thing. That's the thing. You and I, we sort of think along the lines, and more often that I get lost in one part of the argument, and then you finish the rest of it for me, which I'm very grateful of, because you're more well versed in this than I am.
You're very well versed in a whole lot of things. So so to say that I'm more well versed is just a very, very, very high compliment and high praise from you. Of course, you yourself gave me the line when the other person was like, I'm liberal dandruff, and it was like, well, he is head and shoulders above the rest. So thank you for your wit as well. I'm going to probably end the show relatively soon. I have one or two small topics to talk about before we end. And we didn't play the War on Christmas audio for the people who are new to the show and might not have heard the War on Christmas audio. But do you have any other thing else you want to say before we end the call and I move on to those couple small other things?
No, not really. I mean, I wake, like I said, it's just every day I wake up, it's just a different day, the same disaster or the same nightmare, just getting worse and worse. I don't, if there was a God, you would think he would intervene and take Trump out of the picture, but
he's just
unfortunately
doing it slowly,
there
right?
isn't.
Or she's doing it slowly. If there is a God, she's doing it slowly, trying to get that blood clot or whatever. I don't know.
Well, at least McDonald's is doing their part of the deal anyway. They're holding up their end of the deal.
Yeah.
So
hamburgers for peace.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, take care, everybody. I think I've put it out there how my feeling and visions of things are, and I only wish you all the best. But it's going to require people showing up at the voting booths, and non-participation is not an option anymore, because you're just basically going to be shooting yourself in the foot, and eventually you run out of feet and you're not going to be able to move anywhere, and then you're going to become part of the homeless epidemic that Trump is already creating.
Yep, exactly.
So.
All right, man. You have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you. And unless something big happens, we'll be back here. We'll see you back on Monday.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye.
All right. Bye, man. All right, and everybody, that was Big Hook. Big Hook. We are going to go ahead and turn off the phone line, but we do have a couple of things to talk about, so don't leave yet. One thing I did want to do is I forgot to play the War on Christmas intro that I like to start each show with between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So before we talk about the other topics at hand, I do want to go ahead and play the new War on Christmas intro, or the War on Christmas intro that now is available on YouTube with all of the bells and whistles of added imagery to make it even funnier, I guess. So without further ado, let's hear the War on Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who will come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old St. Nick or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name. On Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus and Buddhists and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. And there you go. If you want to play that for your friends, family, or whatever, if you think that's funny, you think that's cool, it's available right here on liberaldanradio.com, which is the link to the YouTube channel. You can go ahead and share that link to that video or to any other video to help the algorithm out, because as we all say, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Aaron, Jolie, I'm sorry, did bring up something else I did want to bring in, and one of the many losses that this administration has had. It includes the amazing actions by the Indiana legislature to basically give Donald Trump a big ol' F you and say, nope, we are not going to further gerrymander our state even more than it already is. So kudos to the Republican legislature for at least having a little bit of testicular fortitude in standing up to this horrible president who's trying to basically use the threat. I mean, according to the Heritage Foundation, I think it is, or some Heritage Twitter account, or maybe a Truth account, they've basically said that Trump is threatening that if they don't redraw the maps, that he's going to withhold highway funds from Indiana. Like, used to be, you couldn't do that for anything because it was a violation of the First Amendment or whatever, where you could not withhold funds because of this, that, or the other. Now it's perfectly okay, I guess, because, as we all know,
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
now normally on the show I do talk about, often I'm talking about the people who do wrong things on the right, because there's plenty of people on the right who are going to talk about the bad things of people on the left. But sometimes I do feel it necessary to be critical of some of the people, especially even the people that are doing things that believe that they're doing it to do the good job. There is a Facebook account called Resistance NOLA. And Resistance NOLA has a post up right now that says, I don't believe it's enough for businesses to refuse service to ICE. They need to also advertise their support for our immigrant community. No Nazis in NOLA. And my question for that is, what if the business owners are part of the immigrant community? Are you going to boycott the immigrant businesses because they're not doing enough to stand up to ICE, when they're probably living in fear of ICE because they're afraid that if they do anything wrong, that ICE is going to come in, shut their business down, detain all of their employees, yada, 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 detain the ownership, lather, rinse, repeat? I have a very hard time understanding people who are claiming to be progressive, who are claiming to be on the left, who are claiming to want to support our immigrant communities, but who are going to make such blanket statements like that that are going to be problematic, including one of my friends had actually taken some more words. Basically, Resistance NOLA is now calling killer po' boys and the occasional wife is a business that does like consignment sales and stuff, fascist, and calling for them to be boycotted because they didn't respond to a 2-week ultimatum that she gave to put anti-ICE signs in their windows. This is the commentary of a friend of mine. Says this is harmful to local businesses who still support the cause. She has poor information about another restaurant called Stein's that they supposedly served ICE, but they didn't. But she called for Stein's boycott as well. Apparently, according rumors are abound that the individual who runs this Facebook group might be having some, like, either a manic episode or something, and is just going with, look, I'm all for calling out the Nazism of ICE. ICE is basically our new Gestapo. Like, there's no reason why we should, and if there are people actively out there supporting ICE, like this Rock and Bowl, U.G.L.I, College Inn, Rouse's, other places that have already known and have established themselves to be MAGA types, to be conservatives, to be anti-immigrant, then absolutely, boycott them all the live long day and twice on Sunday. But I'm not going to sit here and call for a boycott of a business just because they didn't jump through the hoops one particular activist feels that they needed to jump through. So there's that. So anyway, I do believe that was potentially the last thing that I wanted to discuss on this show. Again, remember that we are live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays now at 8 p.m. Central. If you come in a little late because you are watching Hal, I'm not going to be mad at you, because Hal Sparks is the reason why we are doing as well as we are doing today. And we hope with the support of more sparklers, Danimals, and other folks like Mother Truckers, Trucker John watchers, or whatever, that we can start getting our numbers up even further and getting more and more ideas spread that will combat the tyranny, fascism, and Nazism of this racist and bigoted administration. H2O God says, love it, great job on my war on Christmas. That's been around forever. Like, I've had that video forever, but this is the video that I most recently posted is my 3rd iteration, and I've used some AI to be able to help me get it look even better. Let's see, right, they have to agree, plus it may draw attention where they're trying to provide protection. Absolutely, reform ICE, reform on, look, I even say abolish, I will disagree with that. I say abolish ICE whatsoever, completely abolish ICE. It is so rotten to its core at this point that we need to absolutely get rid of it, and then if we do have immigration enforcement activities that need to be done, put it under some other wing of a new administration that will actually do what it's supposed to do. Maybe actually go after the bad hombres, the racists, the rapists, the murderers, the sex traffickers, etc. But I don't think ICE at this point can be saved. It has to be completely dropped altogether, and those services that are provided need to be done via some other, either a newly created department that starts fresh, or put it in some other other part of an administration that would care to do the right things instead of doing the evil, terrible things. So if you're new to the show and you've heard me play the Had Biden song, that is one of many original Liberal Dan radio songs that I've created. Hopefully y'all stay around as we end the show. I will go ahead and play the majority of the ones that I've created for the show as well. More songs to be coming at some point soon in the near future. That being said, I appreciate every single one of y'all. For everybody who has still left we have 99 viewers still, 56 likes. Please make sure to smash the like button on the way out. Also, if you have not done so already, please make sure to hit subscribe so we can get those subscription numbers up. And there's many different ways to support the show. Liberal Dan on Venmo. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. You could become a Twitch subscriber using Prime or regular cash. You can gift subscriptions. You can become a Liberal Danimal here on YouTube. Gift subscriptions as well, super chat, super stickers, etc. All the different ways. But the best thing that you could do is, if you like the show, share videos, like them, interact with other comments on videos. and, you know, just make comments of your own, because that apparently helps the algorithm best, at least according to Riverboat Jack, who I would trust on that, because it's another one of the many political shows that I do watch. So thank you all very much for watching. Appreciate all of y'all who raided and stayed in from the raid. Thank you so much. You're going to help. Y'all are wonderful for staying around, hanging around, hearing me discuss things with Big Hook. Sometimes, you know, Big Hook filibusters, but I'm more than happy to do that. Saves my voice a little bit sometime as well. But we're going to start going into the break with Had Biden Done It, play a couple other ones as well so you can hear. And all these songs are not only available on YouTube, but you can also get them on Spotify as well. Liberal Dan Radio on Spotify. I'm Liberal Dan Radio everywhere. Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. Every place there's a social media channel. If there's not one, let me know, and I'll make one there too if it makes sense. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you. And without further ado, here is the full version of Had Biden Done It, followed by some other songs as well. Till next time, peace.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say our day. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the child of today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirm his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Boxes of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. I'll send you the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't beat. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A chaotic secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag 'cause he was much shorter. If you can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. 'Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
Gather round everyone and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black use it for integrity in each election. But he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspoke he shrugs. They'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspoke he strokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he crooks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writings on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, 'cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic 'cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue of Liberty, the writing you can't see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, 'cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish face laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like scolery, 'cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan.